it has just telepathic handling, does it not? My God, so nice. Yeah, you don't need to give it much gas and the thing just lights it up. Everyone needs to ride one of these. These are really special. Woohoo! Yeah, it's fast. Oh, folks, if you chimed in today for roughly 25 to 30 minutes of me simping over a Triumph, well, then you are in for a treat. This is a motorcycle I have been super interested in for a long time. Ever since I saw it was released, I thought it was really unique. I thought it was really interesting. The Triumph made this motorcycle. There's a lot to talk about here, and today, in case you didn't know, in case you forgot, it is our first ride and review of the Triumph Speed Triple 1200 Double R, not the RS, not to be confused with the RS. This is the fully fared variant, the fully fared variant, there we go, of Triumph's big bad hyper naked motorcycle. This is a really interesting bike that I've been wanting to try out for a long time. Like I said, as a die-hard Triumph aficionado, you guys know that I've owned 4 Daytona 675 Rs. I've raced one of them in 2020. I've done hundreds of track days on them, plenty of street miles on them. So anytime Triumph makes a new sport bike, I am always very, very interested. What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Yammy Noob. You are in for a treat today. We're doing a first ride and review on this motorcycle. Now, I would be remiss not to remind you guys, in case you didn't see our absolutely ridiculous full Brit face video reveal that we did with this motorcycle. This is our new expert bike giveaway motorcycle. If you hit the link down below to shop.yammynoob.co and use the code SPEEDY, that is SPEEDY, not IE, you will get yourself 4x entries for every dollar you spend to win this motorcycle. You can also always go to yammynoob.co and get yourself signed up over there and earn all of your entries over there as well. Check out the official rules and get entered to win this bike because you're not going to want to miss it. Now, we're going to try to move through this one pretty quickly. There's so much to talk about here, so much that I'd like to talk about. I want to get you guys out on the road ASAP. Let me give you a brief overview of this motorcycle. So Triumph updated their Speed Triple a few years ago, 2 years ago, I think, to compete with the new crop of hyper-naked motorcycles. They realized that their Speed Triple bike was not really in line with the new NT10s, 210s, V4s of the world. So they absolutely went back to the shop and cooked up this 1160cc triple, making 177 horsepower and 92 foot-pounds of Torgos. This is a stonking engine, big upgrade over the old Speed Triple that was getting a little fat, a little lazy. Brand new frame as well, too. That's contributed to a massive weight reduction. I think like 30 or 40 pounds. Really, really big weight reduction from the old Speed Triple. But you might be looking at this and being like, hey, man, that doesn't look like a Speed Triple. It's not a naked bike. Well, Triumph last year announced that they were going to make this kind of neo-retro, fully fared version of their Speed Triple naked bike. So the bones of this is the Speed Triple. It's the same engine, same frame. However, they put this really snazzy looking half-fared look to it here and dropped the handlebars into clip-ons here and added, which is a very nice feature, Öhlins electronic suspension front and rear. And of course, it retains the signature Speed Triple single-sided swing arm. So that's kind of a very brief overview of this bike. I think we got to jump on this thing, ride it, and check it out as well. One of the most peculiar things about this motorcycle, as you guys may have seen, I'll show you here really quick. So this is the key, right? It's a keyless ignition system, nothing too crazy. But the actual ignition is on the side of the engine here, right here. It's not on top of here or next to the forks or anything. I guess that's to help for theft prevention, but for me, I think it's a bit odd to put the ignition right near a bunch of hot stuff so that you have to have gloves on whenever you start the bike up. So, swinging a leg over the Triumph here. Oh my God, there's so much to talk about. First of all, guys, I'm absolutely head over heels with this motorcycle, so I just have so much to say about it. The view out of the cockpit, phenomenal. Look at this. Oh my goodness, this is just such a handsome looking bike right here. Beautiful tank shape, carbon fiber fairing stays right here. The way the windshield lays into the fairing here, this swoop back. What an amazing place to sit. I cannot believe we're giving this bike away. I want to keep it so bad. Let's start her up here. We'll get a sound clip, show you guys some of the dash stuff, then we're going to get it out on the road because there's so much to talk about here. Start it up right here. Starts right up because it's a brand new bike. Of course it does. Is in first gear. Let's get it up into neutral. There we go. Got this beautiful TFT dash here. Lots of different modes. Cruise control. The little joystick thing we're going to chat about later on as well. But of course, let's get a nice little spicy sound check of the big old beefy triple on this bike. It's classic, absolutely classic signature sound from this Triumph. Let's go and take it for a ride, shall we? That is enough jibber jabbing from me. Oh, man. I have a super duper soft spot for these motorcycles, man. Super soft spot for these things. I mean, it's a white Triumph sport bike. How do you expect me to not have a soft spot for them? Now, on our new testing route here, one thing I've been liking doing on our motorcycles is doing a little slow speed test with them before we actually get them out on the road. So I like to come here to this little cul-de-sac and just show you guys what the slow speed kind of maneuvers are like on this motorcycle. Now, because this bike is fitted with clip-on bars, it does make the super tight stuff a little tricky. If you're a newer rider, maybe a year or two under your belt, you may find that this is a bit awkward to maneuver correctly through time and space in an easy way, you know? It's definitely a bike you have to think a little bit about whenever you're thinking about your rights versus your lefts. But the good news about this motorcycle is the clutch pull is very light and easy, and the throttle is so buttery smooth on this thing. You don't really need to think very much about the throttle. It is so nice and smooth, so easy to use, and it's not really that frightening. You'd think of a bike that makes 177 horsepower as being pretty stonking, pretty powerful, pretty snatchy, like, I don't know, like a Gixxer Thou, right? Like it's going to be potent and crazy, but Triumph has done a really good job of making this thing very gentlemanly, very nice to live with, and it's a super unique motorcycle for that reason. I have not ridden anything like this ever. This is a wholly unique motorcycle, at least to me. Perhaps there are older models of bikes that have a similar flavor and style to this thing, but to my knowledge of new motorcycles out in the marketplace right now, there's not really anything quite like this motorcycle. As we take off here, we have some runway. It's got a lot of juice. That was just 2 gears. This thing's super fast. Yeah, 92 foot-pounds and 177 horsepower is nothing to play with. Definitely what we call in the biz a honkin' stonkin' motorcycle. Let's go ahead and filter up to the front here, and we'll try to take away again. Show you guys here a little acceleration on the Triumph. Not too much though, because it is yeah, great power out of this thing, man. Proper superbike power. I mean, the triple is known for being just so linear and smooth, and this character retains itself here. The bike right now is in road mode, so it's not in its kind of top trim power mode, and it's already got a lot of power, and I really like the power delivery. Modes are pretty easy to switch. All you got to do, I believe, is lay off the gas and then tap the mode button here, and you can switch over into sport mode. Click confirm on the little joypad. Maybe, oh, I'm pressing the wrong button there. Confirm on the joypad. Well, I gotta close the throttle to confirm. And now we're in sport mode, which gives you a little bit more pep in your step, as if you needed it. Auto blip down quick shifter here on the Triumph, of course. It's got a full suite of electronics on it, so you've got traction control, I believe cornering ABS, quick shifter up and down, all kinds of great stuff on this motorcycle. Makes it really such a wonderful, wonderful machine to ride. The big thing I want to talk about this bike, and I alluded to it earlier, is how it's kind of different from a lot of the entrants in the superbike and super sport market, which I think a lot of people are remiss to include this thing in the super sport or superbike category, but I don't understand how we're in a world now where a bike with 177 horsepower and clip-ons isn't considered a superbike. It's got an 1160cc engine. This thing is absolutely a superbike in every sense of the word, and I think it definitely deserves people's attention for that reason. And a lot of folks love to cosplay as MotoGP riders or World Superbike riders, and this thing takes a really different approach in that the ergonomics here are actually much more closer to a SV650X or an RS660. You're not full-on superbike ergos on this thing, which is kind of nice. You don't really want to be super hunched over and leaned over on your kind of road-going motorcycle. I think a lot of people like that for their sport bikes, obviously, because when you're on track and doing cool stuff on track, you obviously want a bike that is very capable and very much in the pocket. But you can still do that with this bike. It's just not as extreme, which is a really great quality. And when you're on the road, you know, you're never approaching 10 tenths. You're never even approaching 4 or 5 tenths, if we're being completely honest with ourselves. And Triumph kind of just leaned into that, and instead of trying to build a superbike that they're going to go, you know, pretend like they're going to go race in World Superbike or something like that, they built a bike for normal people, I guess, for people who want a motorcycle that they can use and relax with and understand and ride in this kind of fun way. This is a bike you can live with, you know? Like, I'm not uncomfortable riding this thing. I think there's a lot of super bikes and a lot of leader bikes that, you know, you end up riding in either through the combination of the engine and the chassis being so zooted out of control and the ergonomics being so aggressive that you only want to ride them for 30 or 40 minutes at a time. Boy, this is a bike that you have to pay me to get off this thing. I just want to ride this thing all day long, which is the biggest compliment I can give it. You know, having a motorcycle that you can ride all day, every day is really awesome, you know? You want a motorcycle that you can jump aboard and have some fun with, and holy moly, this thing is, you could have a lot of fun with this thing. It's properly fast. I don't think anyone would jump aboard this thing and be like, no, it's not that fast. Like, this is proper fast. This is a ton of horsepower, and it's very willing, very capable. This is a speed triple chassis. Triumph knows what they're doing when they build their frames. This is an awesome frame. Great amount of power out of this thing. It really just surges in a really beautiful way. Yeah, I love that power. Now, throttle on this, I'm very used to my Daytona, right? And it's weird because I feel like through my peripheral, I'm looking down and I'm seeing the white cockpit, the triple cylinder sound. Boy, this gives me a lot of Daytona energy, and I really love it for that reason. But you know, there's a lot of things that are really different about this bike over a Daytona. A Daytona revs really hard. It revs like to 14,500 RPM. This is not as much of a screamer as a Daytona, which isn't a bad thing because you have more usable, tractable power basically everywhere. But this is a motorcycle that, you know, you have to understand that it's brand new and it's got a throttle-by-wire system. It's not a throttle-by-cable like on my Daytona or traditional 600s, so the throttle feel is just not as direct as I would like, not as perfect or beautiful, but Triumph still does such a fantastic job with their motorcycles that, you know, you can ride this thing and boy, it just feels amazing. It really glides over from side to side in a beautiful way. Woo-hoo-hoo! A little 100-mile-per-hour wheelie over the crest there. That's fun. Yeah, this thing's got juice, baby. Fires out of corners like nobody's business. But the coolest part is, again, I'm in sport mode. If you dial it back and you get off the throttle, what a delightful ride. What a nice thing to be on. Ergonomically speaking, as I said, it's not as aggressive. One weird thing that's happening for me is the frame right here, I'm feeling it, is right where my knees are contacting the bike. So I don't get good grip off the tank really per se. I seem to get more grip off the frame, and that might just be a sizing issue for me versus this motorcycle. However, when you're off the side of the bike, it works just fine. You can actually, you know, hook the outside of the gas tank with your knee, and it all seems to work pretty well, as we'll show you guys here. We'll take this left. If you set up properly, get your knee over on one side, your knee is actually in the right place. The peg height is very forgiving on this bike too. I'm not super high up with my pegs. I am having a good time on this thing. Now, one point I want to make too about this bike is the Öhlins Smart EC 2.0 system. This is a ridiculously nice set of forks and rear shock on this bike. Constantly thinking and adjusting the damping settings for you. I cannot remember the amount of cycles per second or whatever, but it is doing it probably hundreds of times every second or every minute. And it has the same kind of magic carpet feeling that the Fireblade had when it's going over bumps and how it's managing itself. It just feels like it's a perfectly suspended motorcycle at all times. There's not a ton of brake dive, because whenever you do ask for a lot of brakes, the suspension seems to just sort it out, and you never get dive on this thing, which is just amazing. Auto blipper works really well. This auto blipper works better than the Moto 2 Daytona that I tested. It was my first auto blipper test on a Triumph. All these auto blipper systems are a little bit different. They all have slight variations and slight differences. If you try a Ducati one versus an MV Agusta auto blipper versus a Triumph auto blipper, they all seem to work in slightly different ways. Golly, you can stack on some pace on this thing. It just wants to go. I am speechless as how awesome this bike is. What a cool and different entry into the world of sport bikes that Triumph has made here. And it's really cool that it didn't take much off the Speed Triple platform to make a bike that you know, works really well as a sport bike. A lot of naked bikes that companies are making nowadays, like the ZH2, you really would not want to put clip-ons on that and turn it into a road-going, like, you know, sport bike, track bike type of thing. I mean, they obviously do it with the H2, but the H2 is a 550-pound supercharged monster straight-line bike. It is not necessarily a road-going, gentlemanly sport bike like this thing. But, you know, this just makes me miss Triumph's, you know, less powerful, fully fared options. And the thing you gotta point out about this bike is it's just gorgeous. It is such a beautiful motorcycle. I've taken this thing out about 2 times now, and every time I take it out at traffic lights, I look over and people are definitely staring at it. That's not just in my own head. I'm just looking over and be like, yeah, people are looking at my bike. This is a motorcycle that is definitely going to get attention. It is a beautiful piece of kit that anyone would be proud to own. And it's just really cool. Stacking it in here in this tighter corner. Let's see. We've got some dust and debris. Be careful there. You know, off throttle, it's a little snatchy. A little snatchy. I would prefer something a little nicer off throttle, on throttle. But that's a very small complaint for the Triumph here. It has just telepathic handling, does it not? My God. So nice. So nice to ride. I am thrilled to get this thing out on track. I think it's going to do really, really well. It seems to just really be willing, and I'm super pumped to get it out on track and give it a shot. Alrighty, so Got our little acceleration test here coming up. We're in sport mode. Try to give her the beans. See how she do. We already know how she's gonna do. She's gonna do very well, isn't she? Yeah, you don't need to give it much gas and the thing just lights it up. Super nice. We'll save the wide open throttle stuff for on track because this bike is very powerful and I just don't really like doing that stuff on the street nowadays anymore. Wow, what a sublime motorcycle. I feel like $1 million on this thing. Everyone needs to ride one of these. These are really special. Soaking up bumps so beautifully. Oh man, what a great motorcycle. Really enjoyable. But like I was saying, it kind of makes me feel that Triumph should give this treatment to a bike with a little less horsepower, a little less torque. I know that it's very cool that it makes all this power and it feels very world-endingly fast at times. But, you know, if you want to... I want another Daytona is what I'm saying. So sue me. Sue me. I want another Daytona. Not personally, because I already own 2 of them currently. One's in parts and the other's spec'd out as a race bike. But this just makes me think that Triumph should make an RS660 competitor with their Trident model. I think Triumph has all the know-how to build an RS660 competitor with their Trident motorcycle. Make a Trident RR. That would be really cool. I think that would work really well. To me, it would kind of be like a bastardized Daytona, but you know, if that's what we get for another sport bike, that ain't too half bad, you know? Gosh, I'm just blown away by this thing. I want to get it out on track so bad. I want to let this thing breathe and roam. I can't even, you can't do anything with this thing on the street, not with a postman in front of you. This bike also comes equipped with top shelf Brembo stylemas. It's got the big MCS master cylinder here with the adjustable main piston right there, which is really cool. The feel for the brake lever is sublime. I mean, guys, nowadays when you're paying $21,000 for a motorcycle, you can't believe how good this thing is. You wouldn't believe how incredible these bikes are to ride. If you've never ridden one of these kind of top shelf bikes from a premium manufacturer, your Triumphs, your Ducatis, your Yamahas, all these sorts of things, you really owe it to yourself to check them out because they are just unbelievably good nowadays. And this is what's really cool about this bike. Even when you have to slow down, it still feels really nice to ride. It doesn't feel like it's trying to get you to go, 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 or tear itself apart, or like, you know, manically make you ride faster and faster. It is so gentle and gentlemanly in the way that it makes its power, in the way that it wants you to ride. It seems to me that when you ask it for more, when you ask it to give a little bit more juice and to ride a little harder, it scales up really linearly with how you ride it. As you ask for more, it seems more and more willing. As you slow down, it's more and more willing to chill out, you know? Which is such a cool way of putting a bike together. So many bikes are one-dimensional. You know, you ride on a Tuono, you ride on a Gixxer Thau. Those bikes only want one thing. They just want to go fast, and they let you know it every second that you're on them. But this thing is really nice. It's got a dual nature to it. It's got this kind of Jekyll and Hyde thing going on where, you know, you can click it up into fourth here and absolutely just cruise with it. And it's willing, and it's not stumbling and doing weird stuff. It's super nice. And it's got all the horsepower you'd want, dude. This thing's so lightning fast. What else can we discuss about this thing? In terms of the screen and some of the technology and features on this thing, you know, I think there's nobody that's really doing screens and resolution on screens as nice as BMW. The new BMW screens are ridiculous. They run at like 240 frames per second, and the graphics are super nice. There's a slight delay for the graphics and what the throttle's doing on this motorcycle, but there's not really a delay in your input and what the bike does. Like if I rev it right here, like, I get direct and instant response, which is great. But the screen lags a little bit. It's not instant. I mean, just give me a old-fashioned analog tachometer. Again, I basically just want a Daytona, but that's fine. We're not going to sit here and talk about the Daytona the whole time. Alrighty, let's see how the Speed Triple handles some bumps, shall we? It looks like got one there. It is a stiff motorcycle. There's no getting around it. As damped as the electronics can make it. At the end of the day, this is a very stiff, racy type of motorcycle, and it shows. It's never going to be something that's super gentle and easy to ride and easy going. It's a sport bike, you know, and that's why you signed up on it. That's why you got the Speed Triple RS with the clip-ons and not the bars, even though the barred version, the RS, from what I understand, is a very stiff suspension package as well that you cannot change with electronics. You have to get in there and manually do it with a little Allen key of sorts. One of my favorite features on Triumphs as well is the big intake honk that you get from the engine. You get such a lovely big stonking intake sound off of this thing. We'll see if we can get it to listen here a little bit. You can't really open it up in the middle of corners like that, but try to show you guys a little bit. Now, another bump management section here. This section is quite bumpy, and honestly, the Triumph is doing a really good job. I expected it to be a lot more stiff and a lot more harsh through this kind of bumpier concrete section right there, but it's doing a very good job. Again, you pay 21 grand for a bike. They're just nice nowadays, dude. They're just ultra freaking nice. So yeah, going through here, we've got cruise control. We've got a couple different mode selectors. I don't love the Triumph like little joystick situation that they do. I've never been a huge fan of that. I think there are better ways to interact with a computer on a motorcycle. All right, we got sport mode, track mode, rider mode, rain mode, probably road mode after that. Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. The rev limiter comes on quick, I gotta say. I think it's about 11,500. It cuts out. Party stops, which is pretty short. We'll see if we can just give it a little bit of wide open beans here. Yeah, that's nice. Let's see if there's other settings here. Yeah, there's all kinds of settings. You can go in and change the different rider rates, suspension, your warnings, your service. You've got the journey modes, the Bluetooth navigation thing that Triumph has set up here as well. So lots of different little tech features if you want to play with it on this motorcycle, which makes it very fun to use if you're into the whole techie thing. I am not really on my motorcycles. I like a more simple setup. Woohoo! Yeah, it's fast. That's nice, man. Jeez. That's great. This bike is really cool too because it's kind of like the closest thing Triumph has ever made to a proper full-bore superbike. We've never gotten a 1000cc competitor from Triumph, and this is as close as they've ever gotten. 1160 cc's, 177 horsepower. It's almost a superbike, almost, but not quite. Are we in road? We're in rain mode, road mode. What do you mean? We'll keep it in road mode. Why not? It's nice in road mode. But yeah, they've never made a super bike, so this is a little bit different for them to make this. But oh my god, it just makes me I'm just so happy that they made this. This is such a cool motorcycle. I'm so excited to have it. I think that it makes a ton of sense in the marketplace, and it's kind of cool how Triumph decided to not really compete with the existing superbikes and existing neo-retro high-performance bikes. Like this is kind of similar to an MV Agusta Super Veloce, but at the same time, it's pretty different too. You know, it's a bigger engine, it's more power, it's I think a little bit more expensive, not by much, but I think you're getting a lot for what you're paying. You're getting all this carbon fiber, all the features, all the benefits. Very, very cool motorcycle. And stonking fast, baby. Not world-endingly fast, I will say. I think when I topped it out back there full gas, you know, you can kind of sit on it and be like, okay, you know, it's got a great amount of power, but it's the fact that it comes on so linear, you know. You get so much power low down and mid that you don't really think about the top end power because you've already gotten so much meat from the bottom, you know. So much of that bottom meat on this Speed Triple 1200 RR here. But guys, I think that's gonna wrap up my first ride impression on this here Triumph Speed Triple 1200 RR. Please remember that this is a giveaway motorcycle. Papa Yam did not buy this for himself, even though I kind of feel like I definitely should have, given how sweet this motorcycle is. I feel like I really should have gotten one of these bad boys for myself, but I don't really have a need. So hit that link down below to yammynoob.co, sign up, become a member, get all your entries to win, or go to shop.yammynoob.co and get your entries in that way. We'll catch you on the next one. See you later.
Well, look at you. You've made it to the end of another Yammy Noob video. You should consider yourself pretty lucky because I have curated this one right over here for you to continue watching. It's probably just as good as the one you just saw. Unless you hated the one you just saw. I don't know, maybe leave me a comment down below about how much you hated it as well too. Or just keep watching this one. Make sure you keep watching Yammy Noob. Don't forget to keep watching Yammy Noob. That's the most important thing. Keep watching Yammy Noob.